So we're back at it with another day, and we have the button pretty much sealed up. So this is what I did yesterday, or actually what I finished today that I didn't show you. So crank position sensor installed. That's what that looks like. We have oil temperature sensor installed. That's what that looks like. Oil filter installed. Oil pressure sensor installed right here. And we have cam angle sensor right here. And we have the coolant temperature sensor right here. This is what I used for thread sealant right here. Permatex number 8632. Anyway, what I'm doing now, since I have all this buttoned up, I put the alternator on. I have Procharged parts here, and I actually printed out and made a installation binder for my Procharged. So what I'm going through now is cleaning up these parts, putting them on, and whatever bolts I have or don't have will determine what I order and don't order, and put on and what I can't put on because I don't have it. So we're just going to put you guys on a time lapse and have a hell of a time putting this on. And guys, we're literally a week away from putting this motor in. There's nothing that's going to stop us. Literally, it's bolt on as much Procharged stuff on as we possibly can. Put on my manifolds or my headers, long tube headers. And then from there, it's ready to go. Well, after we bolt on the flex plate and torque converter, transmission, and then it slides right in. So stay tuned, guys. It's going to be sick. I have all my bolts here. So I'm going to go ahead and mock this up, remove any bolts that I have to, and install them, guys. This is pretty sick. I'm excited. We're finally going to button up the 426. As you can see, this thing looks outrageous. If you guys missed this, we did a 6.1 based 426 stroker. We have Holley Sniper intake manifold with a Procharged, as you can see. We had complete headwork done. We did a fully forged bottom end, and we did a custom grind camshaft. We're running 5% overdrive damper. That's kind of a basic overview of what we got going on. This thing is pretty much buttoned up. The only thing that we have to do is put spark plugs on, motor mounts, headers, flex plate, torque converter, transmission, throw the bad boy in. I'll show you exactly how we're going to throw it in once we get to the car. And I don't know if we're going to get to that point today, but if not, stay tuned. But if we do, stay tuned. I'll see you guys later. What we're going to do is start doing spark plugs today and just see how far we can really get. So based on the research that I did, Procharged recommends that you go 35 thousandths on your plug gap. Stock is like 50 or 55. So I don't know what the advantages are having a tighter gap on your spark plug, but that is what they recommend. And as well, this is what they recommend for a spark plug part number. These are an Iridium one-step colder spark plug from factory. So not only are they Iridium, they are one step colder than the factory plugs. Factory 6.1 plugs are platinum. And let's go ahead and just start gapping them. I already have half of them done, as you can see, but I figured I'd give you guys an update and show you guys what I'm doing. Okay, so now we have all 16 spark plugs gapped. We're going to go ahead and start taking off one coil pack at a time and start throwing in the spark plugs. Pretty simple. All right, guys, so as you can see, we did make a little bit of progress so far. Headers are on. We have driver's side motor mount on. And I have to finish wrapping this one. I never got done with it, so I'm going to start doing that right now. And then I'll put that motor mount on. And then we're going to put flex plate, torque converter, transmission on, load it in the back of my truck. Then we're going to go ahead and take it over to Brandon's house to install it, because that's where the car is. All right, guys, we got Brandon here. We rocking some merch. Anyway, we have the front section buttoned up. I left on a couple Procharged brackets. I finished wrapping the exhaust headers, the long tube headers. Installed the O2 sensors. I installed and torqued the motor mounts. So since we have solid motor mounts, I actually torqued the valve cover bolts to 90 inch-pounds instead of 70. I don't know how much that's actually going to affect it. But the 4 motor mount bracket bolts to the block, 70 foot-pounds, and then motor mount to motor mount bracket, 70 foot-pounds as well. And I used quite a bit of blue thread locker on the bolts to bolt the motor mount to the motor mount bracket because we are running solid, guys. You're going to have a lot more vibration noticeably in the cabin than you would if you just ran like polyurethane or even your factory rubber mounts. So what we're doing right now is we have the cherry picker right here, and what we're going to do is pick up the engine, lift it up, take the stand off, and then we will bolt on the flex plate. I have a chromoly flex plate, and we have ARP flex plate bolts, and then we are going to get the transmission ready, install the torque converter onto the transmission, and we are going to attempt to bolt the transmission to the engine, and then we're going to put it in the back of the truck and then go throw it in, guys. It should be pretty easy, or at least that's what we think. The idea is easy, but the work, we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated, throwing on a time lapse as much as I can. Well, here where we are. What do we do, Brando? We'll go ahead and this is you now.
Got a little antsy, you know. Put the torque converter on the transmission.
We put about what, a third of a quart?
Third of a quart.
About a third of a quart of
milliliters, about
200 milliliters. So what we ended up doing is, as you can see, we put the couple blocks on a stand, put transmission there, lowered the engine to where we can kind of push it into place. Torque converter's obviously in, flex plate's torqued, of course, and now the next step will be to rotate the engine over and install torque converter bolts. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then next would be we have trainee cooler lines that we can go ahead and throw on right now, so we don't have to do that. Yep, trainee dipstick, we could do that, and then we're ready to go put it in the car. So this is going to be a dope video, guys. I hope you guys like it. All right, guys, we're loaded up. Got everything together. Replaced the trans mount while we were here. So we're literally driving, what, not even 2 miles, Brandon?
mile.
Maybe a mile. So, I mean, this is perfectly fine. I'm gonna go extremely slow. We're gonna get there, unload it with his cherry picker. Oh, well, we might need this. You're gonna need that, Brandon, unless you have one. Okay, so we'll just use that. And it's gonna be as simple as taking it out, and hopefully it's as simple as sliding it right in. I have the bolts in my pocket, and we should be ready to go. Stay tuned, guys.
No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle.
Well, guys, not much has changed in the life of Mojo GT. And one of the things that definitely never changes is not using a lift, because I always say that you don't need a lift to work on cars, and it's kind of ironic how I just never have access to one, which is, it's fine. We're not even going to get to that. You don't need a lift, period. I'm perfectly fine not using one. Anyway, rant over. Engine is in the car. It took effing forever. It's not even really in. What I did, in order to try to slide this thing in, I cut these 3 brake lines. I'm just going to put compression fittings there. Not a huge deal. I have the motor mounts in, and as you can see, I don't have headers in. I had to take the headers off because I worked the morning after, and it was like 11:30 at night, and I had to be up at 5:36. So, that being said, we definitely didn't get where I wanted to. Found out that you can't just slide the motor in when you have headers on, long tube headers to be exact. And it just is like an extremely tight fit for almost no reason. So what I'm doing now, I already have the lug nuts cracked loose, jack up the entire front of the car, put it on jack stands, and I'm going to drop the whole front subframe. That's the plan anyway. We're going to see how that really works out. I'm going to put this thing up as high as I possibly can, basically, or at least a little bit off the ground, and then get the subframe bolts loose, take off the front, the upper control arm, and then we take the struts off last, and then it should kind of just fall down. So we'll see how it goes. That's really all that holds it together is 4 subframe bolts. 3 shock tower bolts on each shock, and the upper control arm. So that's the only things holding the front subframe to the chassis. Let's go ahead and drop those, and it shouldn't be that bad. So just a quick little update. I have front wheels taken off. I have upper control arm broke free and set in place. I cracked all of my front subframe bolts free. There are 4 18mm bolts, 1 here, and then 4 corners. All 6 strut tower bolts are removed. So what I'm going to do now is take out my upper control arm bolt, and then I need to put a jack in the front of the subframe, and I have another jack on the transmission, so I'm going to kind of let it down all at once. I don't know how it's going to work. Hopefully it works good. We'll see. I guess I'll let you guys know. Okay, so basically as we jack this up, it doesn't look like it, but the headers come up and they pinch the side of the frame. So that means that I have to spend a lot more money on headers, and I can't brag about my $180 headers anymore. So stay tuned for that, guys. It's going to be about $1,000, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and we're really close to getting there, so stay tuned. Peace.